It was an information at the time, unless it develops into intelligence and then some behavior. But we didn't go that far. But the mere fact that I was assured that the intelligence department service were in the picture and they were processing the information. So I didn't think...
Did you take it seriously?
I would. Any word of a coup would be taken seriously.
I just have your statement here. Mr. Baja, you have a copy, don't you?
Yeah, I have.
Could you take a look at it? That's your own copy, right?
Yes.
Can you look at paragraph 9? Is it? But
yes.
Just wait a moment. You just said a moment ago that rumors of a coup, anybody would take it seriously.
Yes.
Because that is because of the importance of it.
Yes.
So it would have to be taken seriously.
Yes.
Not taking it seriously would basically amount to a dereliction of duty within it for senior officers.
Yes.
Could you take a look at your statement, please, paragraph 9, and read that paragraph out to me?
In 1994, I went with President Sadauda Jawara to OAU summit in Tunisia. After the summit, he decided to continue on his vacation to England.
There is interpretation going on. Oh. They can't catch up with you.
Sorry, let me repeat.
You're going too fast.
In 1994, yes, I went with President Sadauda Jawara to OAU summit in Tunisia. After the summit, he decided to continue on his vacation to England. We all proceeded to England together with his guards. While on vacation, we normally heard rumors of coup. No one took it seriously due to frequency of such rumors. I talked to Lantom Montamba. He informed me of such information, but he said to me they are working with NSS, National Security Service.
Your statement was signed by you this morning.
Yes.
And in that statement, you said no one took these rumors of coup seriously.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was the attitude at the time.
The previous ones, yeah, okay, maybe.
That was the attitude at the time.
Yes, I would.
Not the new position you have just given us, that you take it seriously.
I'll admit, since it's my statement, I wouldn't want to change it in the middle of the...
good. Yeah. So let us proceed. You did not take this issue of coup seriously, which was a dereliction of duty by your admission. You did not inform the then president. You thought that was not important. What happened after that?
Then we returned on the 21st, on a Thursday. And when we arrived, the usual guard of honor, and then the protocols were accorded to the president, and then we took off for State House. And then I drove with the commander then on the ground, that was Lantom Montamba, who was then in charge. And he informed me that prior to our arrival, some officers were disarmed by the High Army Command because of the coup rumor.
Did he tell you which officers were disarmed?
Specifically, Ajame was mentioned.
You say that again?
Yeah, Ajame, the then president, he was head of the military police.
Was mentioned?
Yes.
As the person who was what?
Disarmed, whose pistol was taken from him.
Were you surprised to hear that?
Yes, I was.
So what was not taken seriously before you arrived? Did you take it differently this time around?
Very well.
And what did you do with the information you received?
The information had already, what I did with the information, as soon as we arrived, even before I arrived, the officer in charge, Lantomo, has already taken the necessary security precautions, and then the guards were reinforced. And then when we arrived at State House, he had already, before the security, and then he agreed that he spent the night with the men on the ground.
Did you inform the president?
No, I didn't inform him, but I knew that he was informed.
You knew he was informed?
Yes, when we arrived, I knew he was informed.
Who informed him?
I knew the Director General of NSS had informed him.
How do you know that?
I spoke to him, the NSS Director General, when we arrived at State House.
But Jawara said in his book he never knew about this. He was only briefed the next day when another coup was in the making.
With all due respect to him, and I read the book years ago, but this is my position.
It is your position that what he said is not correct?
With all respect, yeah.
That's a bold one.
Yeah, but I'm on the oath.
I would leave it at that. Let's move on. So tell us about the events of the next day.
The next day, when, as usual, I reported to work around 7:30. I can't remember the exact period, exact time, I would say. And then, as I said, the guards were on alert, what we call standby. And then I was in my office waiting for...
You said the guards were on alert.
Already, yeah.
They were on standby.
Over the night, yeah.
What was the state of security at the State House? We know you did say they were on alert. Yeah. They were on standby. But was the security reinforced?
Not from without, but from within. From within our own, the personnel of the presidential guards.
How about the weapons?
No, the limited weapons we had were only ones that we made use of.
You cannot reinforce security simply by adding more men if you do not have weapons.
Yes, we have weapons. We have an armory. As modest as it was. You don't deploy it every day. So we had brought in more, mainly ammunitions, and then more people were given arms.
We have received testimony that the amount of weapons or the type of weapons you had at State House were definitely not sufficient to protect the place.
I'm in a very good position to say that, to confirm that. I lived that, and it was not correct at the time, and we made every attempt to request for more arms so that at least we could also have sufficient weapons to be able to protect the president and his wife and the premises. At least
so you are agreeing with the proposition that there were not sufficient weapons to protect State House?
Certainly, 100%.
And when you reported to work that morning, this fact was not lost to you?
Yes.
That you did not have sufficient weapons to protect State House?
It was not. It was not.
Did you ask for reinforcement of State House security for that day?
No, not directly, no. But we had a parent body, that's the TSG, which is the Fajara Barracks, that we are just a sub-unit of that. And naturally, they are the ones who will give sort of a backup. And these are the units, together with some elements of the police, that were deployed when the action proper started.
So the question is, did you call for reinforcement of the security of State House on that day, knowing fully well that you have heard rumors of coup? The day before, Yahya Jammeh had been disarmed at the airport. So the possibility of a coup still happening was there. The question is, did you take extra precautionary measure by asking for security for State House?
No, I didn't do that.
Okay, thank you. So when you went to work that day, what happened?
As I said, the routine was to wait for the president to get ready to go to the office. And normally, as the commander, I'll be in my office. The ADC will go to the president's room and just hang around the corridors when the president's ready with some bodyguards. And then, I'll be alerted that the president is coming down. Then we go and then receive him from the foot of the building and escort him up to his office. When he resumes his seat, then we withdraw and go to our normal business of duties rather, when the plainclothes security and some physical guards will be around. So I was in my office waiting for such a thing to happen. And then we, for the routine, and then this information came that there are some movements at Fajara, at Yundum Barracks. So soldiers have seized the armory, and they have boarding trucks and vehicles heading towards Banjul. And then you all realize then the rumor is no longer a rumor. There is some action. That's what it was. Because when I heard about it, I knew. I said maybe that's the reason. So we're trying to do some telephone calls and find out what was happening.
Slowly, Mr. Baja.
Sorry. And then the rest is there. And then we, as I said, we again within our available means in terms of personnel and weapons, and then we did little more extra reinforcements within the State House.
Did this really happen? What you've just said?
Yes.
The surprise I have is that it's not in your statement.
Yeah, okay, maybe it is too. I didn't write a statement. I was recorded verbally. Maybe if the certain specific things are asked.
Mr. Bajo, don't blame it on the statement.
No, I wouldn't.
They write what you told them.
I wouldn't.
And you've seen your statement several times.
Yeah, even this morning now.
In fact, this morning you saw your statement and you even made changes to it this morning.
Yeah.
So the reason why I raised this is there is no other witness who testified on this particular subject who mentioned this.
Sorry, may I ask you which specifically?
The reinforcement of State House after you heard that soldiers have taken over Fajara Barracks.
No, I said within our available means from within, the men and personnel. This is an operational matter. So
yes,
it's not for any reinforcement from outside, from within.
We, even from within.
Sorry?
From within State House, there was no step taken to reinforce the security of State House on that day.
That is not true, Counsel.
Not only are you saying it for the first time, because it's not in your statement.
Yeah.
Your statement states, and I would read it out so that, and correct me if I'm wrong. You may follow the statement, paragraph 11. It states as follows, quote, "The next morning, the 22nd July, I reported to work as usual. I was all alone in my office." There's a mistake there. It says along, but it would surely be alone. I was all alone in my office when I got the information from my orderly that the old power, that is the president, Sir Dawda Jawara, has already left the State House in a vehicle. I stepped out of my office and boarded the vehicle and asked the driver, Jeraba Bojang, to follow them. We arrived at the port, and then Sir Dawda and his family all boarded the ship. Upon boarding the ship, Sir Dawda asked me the whereabouts of the IGP, Press Jang. I went to fetch him at the police headquarters. On arrival there, I met AIG Chongan coming from the bridge. There it was confirmed to us that Yahya Jammeh was leading the coup. I then went with the Inspector General of Police to the ship. Obviously, this is a very summarized statement of your activities that day. But what emerges from this is immediately you heard that Sir Dawda has left State House. You also left, correct?
Yes, I had to see how he was doing. Yeah, I did.
So this issue of reinforcing State House and all that really didn't occur?
No, maybe if I will permit it, maybe, I don't know, I won't blame anybody. What is been written is a true reflection of what I've said. But maybe at the time of saying it, I had missed some key things. I don't want to blame anybody. I'll take responsibility, but I can, if I'm allowed to dilate more on that day.
I would wish to be very fair to you. If you must do that, by all means, do it. But it's an unnecessary digression from the main issues. We just want to have a good sense of what happened that day. We are not looking to blame anybody for that. But we just want to know the attitude with which things were taken that day and what really happened. But if you want to give that explanation, by all means do it. I just don't want us to be bogged down on that particular point. So I leave it to you. Do you want to talk more about it, or you want to?
I would certainly want to.
Please go ahead.
Because I think the issue of the news or the information that is soldiers had broken barracks and things were happening, the natural thing for anybody would have been, it's a routine to whatever dispositions you have taken would have been reinforced. Whether it appears here or not, but I want to state that it happened. And then when I went to follow the president and the entourage at the boat or the ship, I returned back to my office. I returned to my office rather. Then where I stayed with the men, and then as I said, we are anticipating, we did all what we were supposed to do. It was after a while again, I said, let me go and see how the old man and the family are doing the boat. This is my second trip. Maybe I have to apologize if maybe I didn't put that here. My second trip to the boat, that was the times the old Sadawda asked me about the IG. Then I went for the IG. Then we came in, and then he asked him what was happening. The IG had to brief him that we have taken the necessary dispositions. We have soldiers trying the police, the TSG are trying to stop them. Then he asked him, go back and take care of the situation. Then we all want to come back again. It was the time that we realized that the boat had, or the ship had left the wharf a few meters. And this was a very difficult moment for all of us. And I said in my statement, Sala was about to take the risk of it. He thought he could even jump and land on, and he was restrained by the officers. So, but maybe out of whatever, I missed that bit in my statement, but I want to put it on record.
We would come back to that, but I take it that your explanation is that you did not stay away when you first went to the boat. You came back to State House and you did some work with your colleagues.
Yeah.
And you went back to the boat a second time.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
That's your explanation.
Exactly.
So when you returned to State House, you did some work regarding reinforcing State House and so forth. That's what you did, right?
Yeah, to maintain, yeah, that's right, that's right. That's right.
And how was that reinforcement done?
No, anyway, we already have deployed the men rather, give them the necessary weapons that we had, and it's to wait and see what's going to happen. That's all.
What I am trying to get from you is, how did you reinforce the place? What did you do to reinforce the place?
No, as I mentioned, the reinforcement was done much earlier in terms of personnel and the weapons within our means at the time. Put more more people on sentry, giving them more ammunition depending on what we have, because normally they will have only one magazine with an AK-47, but we had to go and bring more ammunition and give some one or two extra ammunition, and put in men at locations where ordinarily they wouldn't have been, to take certain positions.
Was that really done?
Sorry?
Was that really done?
Yes, it was done.
The surprising thing is that we have heard from several other people who were at State House. Mm. We have heard from ADC Gassama. Mm. We have heard from Demba Njai. We have heard from Ture. Nobody mentioned seeing anything like what you have described taking place at State House on that day.
Yeah, except for Tijan Ture, maybe he is the one who, because Tijan was a plainclothes officer. He was already where he was supposed to be. Kasama was ADC. He was closer to the president. Dembanjai was not on the ground that day. He fell sick. When we returned, I asked him to take rest and relax in the house because he left the hospital straight to the...
We understand
yes.
all that. We understand all that. But nonetheless, you have two people who were at State House and have testified here, and none of them mentioned what you have just said about reinforcing State House. In fact, according to the testimony of Gassama, he was so concerned about the situation, and he claimed that he spoke to you about the situation, and you responded that you are monitoring it. You're monitoring the situation.
That was not true. I didn't talk to Gassama on that day. In fact, when the president was being evacuated, as a commander, I was not even aware. I was not even aware. I was in my office waiting for the routine. I think it would now surprise anybody. That at the commander, the arrangements were made. He went to, he heard about it. He went to the president, claiming that he met with, well, what happened? I listened to his testimony. But now, if he's saying that he talked to me about this, when I did not even see him that morning, because he was closer to the president, whatever he was doing there, as he narrated, whilst I was on my side in my office coordinating the security, then I can flatly say that what he said was not true, among other things.
But the thing, though, is how could you be coordinating security when you are, in fact, not aware of what was going on? Because that's what you just said. When the president was being taken away, you were not even aware.
Yeah, but I was not on the ground at that place, but I was within. My responsibility, under the circumstances, is the command. The men I had under my command. Then that issue has been, I would have thought, if he has the opportunity for them to exploit the president being taken to the ship, as a commander, who has the ultimate responsibility of the president's security, would have been put in the picture at the time. But that was never done.
So you were never aware that the president, your principal responsibility was to protect him, but you were not even aware that he was being taken out of the State House?
No, I was never.
Isn't that a serious failure?
No, it's not my failure. I would have said as a betrayal on my side.
No. The president could have been kidnapped and taken away, and you wouldn't be protecting him.
No, but I'm not directly responsible. People who are doing that job. As a commander, I don't sleep at his doorstep. I have men, and these are the plainclothes, Tijan and others, who are in office, who are the people who are the primary people closer to him than the commander himself.
Your men failed, correct?
In informing me.
Yes.
They wouldn't know. It's Kasama who took charge of the responsibility, I would say, and that was not his job.
No, what I'm trying to say here is that here is the president of the state. He was being whisked out of State House. And the commander of the Presidential Guards is not even aware of it. Is that normal?
It's very abnormal. As I said, it's a betrayal.
Isn't that a failure?
No, it's not a failure. I've been betrayed. I didn't fail.
No, what I am saying here is there's a failure of the system that you put in place.
Not my system.
But as commander of the Presidential Guard, you are responsible for the arrangements of the security at State House, correct?
Yes.
That security had been breached by the president being whisked away without even your knowledge, correct?
Yes.
And that breach was a failure of the system that you had in place at the time. Let's move on. We leave that point. We received testimony from Mr. Gassama that he was so concerned as to the poor security of State House that he had to ask Samsidin Sarr to go to the Marine unit to see if weapons could be brought from the unit to reinforce State House. What do you say to that?
It is news to me. It's news. He never told me that.
Did it occur to you as commander of the Presidential Guards that that was a possibility for the purposes of obtaining weapons?
I wouldn't know what the Marine had, because I was not from the main army. He is from there. He knows what they had. The only thing, the efforts we made was when we learned of the arrival of some heavy weapons from China, specifically at the time, as alluded to by some previous witnesses. I personally could even recall speaking to the then Army commander requesting same, but it was not granted. All what we are asked to do was that the territorial integrity of the defense of the country is not in your hands. That's our responsibility. That's responsibility of the army. If anything happens, then the army will take care. So they felt it was necessary for us to have any extra weapons at the State House. And we couldn't do anything about it.
Did you inform the president?
No, I did not.
Was that not important for him to know?
No, for me, no. At the time, no.
This is about his own security and the security of his family. You thought that you didn't have sufficient weapons to assure his security. You have tried to get the weapons. You were rebuffed. You did not think it was important to inform him?
No.
Thank you very much. So we move on. So on that day, you were informed that the president has been taken to the boat, and you decided to go to the boat. Tell us what happened after that, and let's take it quickly because you've already alluded to it.
Yes, as I said, when we arrived, they had already boarded. I came late, and I went to see them until they settled down, and I came back to the office, and after a while, and I told Lieutenant Tamba then that let me go back to the boat and see.
Let's situate it in terms of time. What time did you go to the boat for the first time?
I'll have to apologize. I'm not very good at that. I would say it was still in the morning, but I don't want to speculate the time, honestly.
But this is important.
It's important.
You don't have to be specific. Mm-hmm. Just give us approximations.
It could be around between 8 and 9, and around 9 o'clock or 9:30. 9:30 it would be.
So, at what time did you return to State House?
I didn't spend 30 minutes in between. I didn't stay there long. I would say by 10 I was back to State House.
By 10 you were back at State House?
Yes, if I want to.
And how did you spend your time while at State House?
Monitoring the situation, as we've already taken the necessary dispositions. Monitoring the situation.
And with whom were you working at the time?
I had my deputy, who was on the grounds.
That would be Langtong Bangtamba?
Yes, and then we are also communicating with the commander of the TSG, and that was Major Turo Jaune, who was our overall boss at the time.
Okay. And what time did you leave the State House to go back to the boat?
Now that would be around 11:30.
And it was that time you were asked to go to fetch P.S. Jang, correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So can you take your story from there?
Yeah, as I said, when we came to the board with P.S. Jang, and then after the president inquired from him, we got a briefing from him, and then he asked him, okay, go back and take care of the situation. And then as I said, we all came out from the president's room with intention of coming out of the boat, only to realize that the boat was already left. We negotiated so that they could allow us to get out, and they wouldn't accept that because they said.
And what time was that?
That because we didn't stay there long with the president. We went in, we barely spent 10 minutes with him, and then we left. Maybe this will be before 12 for sure, after 11 or so.
So your testimony is that by noon, the boat had already left the port and is sailing away.
Yeah, I would have guessed the time. Yeah, honestly, I don't want to specific with time, but that's my assumption. Yeah.
At this time, did you have an idea or any idea where the soldiers were? The soldiers, the coupists, pretty much.
At that time, no, but it was after a while that I was able to talk to Lantombo on the ground by telephone, and he informed me that they were around Gambia High School, I think, Gambia High School, yeah, around Gambia High.
I know you have difficulty with time, but the testimony we received seems to suggest that the boat left port a whole lot later than the time you're suggesting. But let me give you this proposition. Okay. We've been told that Pasala Jany and the National Security Advisor and the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Defense, were asked by Sadauda to go and negotiate with the coupists, and that occurred in the afternoon of that day. What do you say to that?
I can't remember that. The only meeting I remembered was when I went with Pasala Jany. I went with him alone, and then this, as I narrated, he briefly president, and the president asked him to go and take care of the situation. That I could remember.
When did that occur? Was it that time in the morning when Major Chongan, or Lieutenant Colonel Chongan at the time, returned to the police station from the bridge? Was it that time, or was it a later time?
It was after, because when I went to fetch the IGP, that was the time I met the DIG Chongan there. Then it was there, we went to the boat together with the IGP.
But by Chongan's testimony, that would be in the morning.
Yeah, anyway, maybe he has a better memory in terms of time than me. But as I said, I have confessed I've given you my difficulty in remembering specific times at the time. But what's important, the sequence of the issues.
Okay, so the boat left, and take your story. Proceed from there.
Okay, we tried everything possible, especially myself and Pasala Jany. Really, I could see, we did everything possible. We appealed to the American ambassador, Mr. Winter, who was there, and then we are assured that they will make arrangements for the ambassador himself to come down the boat later, and they will see what they can do for us. And then,
but what were you appealing for?
To be able to get out of the boat, to come down.
Or you did not want to go with the boat?
Never, never, never.
You wanted to come back?
Yes, sure.
Right. And was that possible?
Unfortunately, no.
So you reluctantly went with the boat?
Very reluctantly.
But at this stage, why very reluctantly?
Because I know I have a responsibility. I have people who are serving under my command. And I would have really, I felt that I would not have done them justice if I should leave them without my command. Whatever would happen, I should be there with them.
But was in protection of the president also your responsibility?
Yeah, but thank God that was found on a silver platter.
Wasn't it the case, sir, that you wanted to remain behind and participate in the coup?
Never. Never.
Wasn't it in fact the case that you were aware of the coup beforehand?
Never. Never.
So, very well. So, the boat left, and you reluctantly stayed on board. What happened afterwards?
And as I said later, when I had access to telephone from the boat itself, I called the office, my former office then. Fortunately, Lantomon picked the phone, and I asked him about the situation. He briefed me. Then, you know,
What did he say?
He told that got information that the soldiers were almost around Gambia High School, and they were very heavily armed.
And did you give any instructions?
Yeah, I told him to make sure he did everything possible to go and negotiate with them, talk to them, so that they can to avoid any bloodbath, because you know what you have and what they have. So try to do everything possible to avoid a bloodbath. That's my instruction I gave to him.
You asked him to fold.
Sorry?
You asked him to fold.
Maybe not.
Maybe yes.
Maybe yes.
You asked him to fold.
Yeah.
And fold he did. He gave up State House, didn't he?
Yes.
On your instructions?
Yes.
Thank you very much. So you went with Jawara. The boat did not return. So what happened after you spoke to Lang Tombong?
And then we remained in the boat. And then later in the evening, when the American ambassador was being, taken out of the boat by one of those small boats, the dinghies, we tried, myself and Pastor Jain, to be given the opportunity to come down, but they wouldn't. They said, no, it was not safe. I said, but we asked, but why? If it is safe for the ambassador to come down, why not us? And we can easily find a way. But they insisted and they refused. So we remained there helplessly. And then, as the rest is story, the boat landed in Dakar. I think it was a Sunday evening. And then we were received by the Senegal. But in the boat also, there were some negotiations that were happening, of which, some of which I was privy, like the negotiations with the Senegalese government to accord to grant Sadauda to allow him and the entourage to go to Senegal, which was very difficult because initially, in fact, President Abdiouf could not be reached. Jawara tried. They tried everything possible. The American ambassador had to talk to the State Department, and I remember in those days the Deputy Secretary of State for African Affairs was Mr. Moose. I think it's George Moose. I could remember the date, because this communication was done by through the radio communication of the boat, and then we are in the room, control room, and we could hear. And he said he was able to reach President Diouf. Apparently, President Diouf had already moved to Popongel, that is his retreat house somewhere outside Dakar. But the only thing they could convince him to do was to accept Jawara on humanitarian grounds. But they would not intervene militarily to save the situation. And there was no choice, because already Sadauda had already spoken to the soldiers through Lieutenant Edward Sangate. And then when he was offered to come back to the country, where he would accorded this position of status of a senior statesman, he can be served as an advisor to the new government. And Sadauda said no, he wouldn't accept that. The only thing he could ask them was for them to go back to barracks and then come back if they had any grievances, and that would be looked into. And that negotiation didn't yield results, and then they parted. Then now the only hope was to go to Senegal. And with all this effort, we went to Senegal, we landed, we were received at the airport by Senegalese, some officials, and then we were driven to residence Medina, where we are lodged.
And for how long did you remain at residence Medina?
This was 22nd July. I think I came back around the 30th. If you will allow me to refer to a note.
By all means. Sorry. Go ahead.
I think it was the 30th. Let me just cross the note here. On the 30th July, exactly.
That's the note you prepared for yourself?
No, it's a particular date that I want to. I was lucky to.
All right. So you returned on the 30th.
Yeah.
How did it happen that you were able to return?
Yes, because what happened when we arrived there, there was this hope that there would be some assistance to bring back the president, especially from the Nigerians.
At this stage, the coup had already succeeded.
Yes, after 2 days, yes, in a nutshell.
And during this period, have you spoken to any of the people on the ground in Gambia?
Never. The last time I spoke, the only person I spoke to was Lantom Montamba, my deputy, before we lost communication. I didn't speak to anybody.
But from the news you were receiving, it was obvious that the coup has already succeeded.
Yes, we were all glued to our radios, the BBC and others. And,
all right. So on 30 July, tell us what happened.
Yeah, before 30 July, maybe, as I said, maybe my statement is not that detailed enough. Before 30 July, we were there because there were two possibilities at the time. So whilst efforts were being made to be able to secure international support, mainly from the Nigerians, who then had the ultimate responsibility of commanding the Gambia army, maybe they will come and help. And then the other thing was Sadada's own family, mainly the children also, had a meeting, those who were around, that they tried to convince him to consider the offer that he come back, since, he will not be harmed, and then he will be given the status. And this, he said really he couldn't take that as it was, and then he will also have to consult with his colleagues, some of his people around him. And then we are all hoping, and we'll think about it and consult. So we are all hoping that maybe there will be a positive reaction, reply from him on that, the Nigerians. But we got information that the Nigerian foreign minister was on his way. And all hopes were dashed when he came and delivered the message that they would have loved to come and use military force to dislodge the junta. But they couldn't get clearance from the Senegalese government in either the use of their land or airspace. And it would have been futile. They could not be able to come to Gambia as it is. They would not succeed. And these are the two things that really, and then Sadauda also, after reflection and suggestion from his family, maybe after some consultations, also decided not to take that option of coming back as offered by the junta. Okay, then I've seen really after 1 week, almost 1 week with them there, and I still feel that responsibility of having men who were under my command, who I could not have the opportunity of seeing through to the end of the episode, but I still, and I will not abandon my country also as a soldier. I don't have any reason to stay away in an uncertain situation.
And during this period, did you speak to anybody?
Except my family, I don't speak to anybody.
Did you speak to Lang Tombo?
No, not in Dakar, no.
It is suggested that your reasons for coming back was that an arrangement was already negotiated for you. What do you say to that? I
heard about it, but that's not true. That's not true.
You decided to take the risk?
Yes, the risk,
come back.
As it's worth it.
Can you tell us what happened when you returned?
The eve of coming, I decided to come back. I met the president and I told him, sir, I want to take your permission, I want to go back. He said, but is it safe for you, your security? I said, anyway, that's in the hands of the Almighty God, but I'm a soldier. The job also demands the risk that I can take the ultimate responsibility. So I'll go back. He said, okay, if you want to go, there's a problem. And then he took out 30,000 safer. He said, okay, we can use this as a fare. So, and then I asked the boys, the guards, who were any volunteers to come back. Only 2 of them volunteered. That is the lead, Fali Jabang, and one Ansu Sajo. Then the following day, we took off early morning. We went to Pompier. We boarded the set blast, and we saw ourselves to Bara, then Banjul, at Banjul terminal. We took a taxi because some dollars is on me. We took us to State House. And then when we arrived at Batty Flat, my two junior colleagues were hesitant to go to State House. I told them, no, you have no responsibility. I'm the one who will answer. You are under my command, there's no problem, because we cannot do otherwise. You cannot go and sneak into houses. Then that will be a different thing. Let's go and face. So reluctantly, they followed me. We went to State House. And then I asked the soldiers, especially some of the former presidential guards, some of them who were under me, who was in charge. And they led me to my former office, where I found the late Vincent Jata, who at the time was the commander. And I told him I'm back with two other officers. And he asked us to sit down, and he went up to the main building of the State House, where then I learned the council was having a meeting. And then he came back, he told us, the chairman said, you people should give us your contact details and go to your respective homes, and wait for further instructions. So when we came out, we were wandering around the guard room looking for means of transportation to take us home. Fortunately, Ansu Sajo and Fali all hail from Marakisa, which is very close to Brikama, and I'm from Brikama. So it happened that Major Suare then was about to go on a patrol. So I asked him if he could give us a leave. He said, why not? I said, how far? He said, no, we are going to just round in combos, we do patrol. That's how we found ourselves. He gave us lift up to Brikama. The other two boys dropped around the market. I gave them fare to proceed to their village, and I also went home. He dropped me at home.
And did anything happen while you were at home?
While I was at home, it was maybe a week or 2 weeks later. I can't remember the date. Then I got a call to report to State House. This was Dembanjai. I think then he was the chief of staff. I cannot fully remember. He was chief of staff and chief of protocol. Then he asked me to come and answer. And then when I went in, he asked me, the chairman wanted to see you. So when I went, he took me to the chairman's office. The then vice chairman, Sana, was sitting down. And then we greeted, and they asked me to sit down. So the Yajame, in his own words, said, we know you are doing your job. Nobody will hold you responsible for either going away or for the president to go away. You are doing your job. If any of us were in your position, this is what we would have done. But we all have responsibility to this country, and then we are considering to give you one of the positions as commissioner to help us in administering one of the divisions. And likely you might be appointed as commissioner to Western Division.
And how did you react?
I said, yes, it's good that you understand. You understand my plight. I was doing my job. And then when it comes to national duty, I'll be available to serve my country so that we serve the people.
Do you know, you and Pasala Jany, who returned to Gambia first?
Pasala Jany much earlier. Pasala, I think, when arrived that very night, he left.
And do you know what happened to him?
No, it was later that I knew that he was arrested.
And what else happened to him after his arrest?
When he was arrested and taken to Mile 2. That's what I heard, yeah.
Yes, he was arrested and detained in Mile 2,
yes.
Correct? And wasn't that the modus operandi, that senior officers were arrested and detained?
Yeah, most of them were arrested, so.
And detained?
Yes.
You could have suffered a similar fate.
I was expecting more, worse than that.
You were expecting worse than that?
Yes, sure.
Worse than that did not happen to you?
Yes.
In fact, you were rewarded?
Okay, maybe rewarded. I don't think rewarded because it's not a personal offer.
You were elevated to, you were received and embraced, correct?
I was received and then given a task.
And you did not suffer the fate of similar fate with others, you were promoted to a higher position.
Yes.
And given responsibility of one of the biggest regions in the country.
Yes.
To administer.
Yes.
That's a huge promotion, wasn't it?
Yes.
It was a favor.
No, I wouldn't take it as a favor.
Of course, it was a favor.
It wasn't.
Would you have been commissioner if it was not for Yaya Jammeh?
It's possible. That's destiny.
Yes, anything is
destiny
possible.
Could have
anything is possible.
Anything is possible, yeah.
But what was the likelihood that you would ever be commissioner during that time if Yaya Jammeh did not accord you that privilege?
Though minimal, but it's not impossible to.
Yes, anything is possible. But
yeah.
what was the likelihood that that would happen?
The chances would, as a human, would be slim.
Very slim.
Yeah, I would say, but it's not impossible to.
We could say non-existent.
Sorry?
Non-existent.
I wouldn't agree to that.
But you would definitely agree that that was a massive promotion.
It was a promotion, yeah.
A big one.
Okay, yes, I would accept.
So yet again, Yaya Jammeh has come to your rescue. Not only did he spare you from jail, as he did your colleagues, he did you a huge favor by promoting you and giving you one of the biggest responsibilities in local government administration.
Yes.
Right? And while you were there, serving in Western Division, did you hear about events that happened in November 1994?
Yes, I heard it.
Tell us what happened.
No, what I heard, maybe. Maybe what I heard, not what happened, but I was
there. Tell us what you know.
Yeah, I heard in the morning of November 11, specifically, I wouldn't know, because I don't want to mention names here that might not be correct. I don't want to speculate. But if my memory would serve me well, it's that through my driver, who used to live in Yundum, not in the barracks, but in the village, would have told me in the morning that he got information that there were some shootings at Fajara barracks. But I stand to be corrected. I wouldn't want to implicate people here, mention their names of things that might not be true. But I got information that there was some activities at the Fajara barracks overnight. But without knowing the details, I was lucky to hear the announcement made by Sana Sabali of the issue that happened.
And what did you hear him say?
What he said was there were some group of soldiers led by Lieutenant Basri Baro who attempted to dislodge the junta or to overthrow the junta. And in the skirmishes, I don't remember the word exactly, but in the shootout, whatever, some soldiers, including Lieutenant Baro, lost their lives.
Did you come down to see what was happening?
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Didn't it concern you to know what happened to your colleagues?
Yeah, it would concern me, but it was not within my jurisdiction. Where would I go and find out?
You are not interested to know what happened?
Yeah, I wouldn't be, because I wouldn't know where to go. Where would I go and find out? Where would I go? I wouldn't. I didn't.
You worked at Fajara Barracks before?
Yes.
Did you go to Fajara Barracks to see what was happening there?
No.
You stayed away?
Yes, I stayed away in my responsibility.
And what happened to your career after that?
After that, sometime in, I think it was in January, or precisely when Sana Sabali and Sadim Haidara were arrested and accused of attempting to overthrow the junta. And then I was called, a few days later, I was called to report to State House. And when I went to State House, I was whisked into the chairman's office again. And then, you know, we had the necessary greetings here and there. And then he gave me a brown envelope, which I opened, and when I read, saying that he has offered me the position of Minister of the Interior and a member of the Armed Forces Ruling Council. And when I read it, and I thank him, I said, okay, thank you so much for the confidence, and I will also do my best.
So you are now appointed minister?
Yes.
But not only were you appointed minister, you were also made a member of the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council.
Yes.
And that was a very privileged position, limited to only 3 other people. Or say 5 other people.
Indeed, it was.
Another huge favor.
Favor, okay. Take it as a favor, but I won't see it as a favor.
But
because somebody has to do the job. It doesn't mean that whoever is given a position has been favored. Yes. Many people are appointed within that period and after. So if you want to assume all appointments as favors, then...
Mr. Bajo, you did not have to take an exam and win that position, did you?
No, not at all.
You had to be selected arbitrarily by somebody who had absolute discretion.
Yes.
And you were chosen out of the many others who are potentially more qualified.
Certainly.
That was a favor.
I wouldn't agree with that one.
Mr. Chair, I think the conversation is interesting, but we have to take the coffee break. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. We will take a 30-minute break and come back at 12 noon. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.